Hello there, it's me again. Considering I've been stuck in the house for quite a while now, I've been making a bunch of these little clay sculptures and everything, but recently I got an idea for one that I figured I should film based on my most recent video where I played the Family Guy intro on the trombone. Because one of my friends mentioned something to me about Family Guy, I figured, why don't I make something from that? I've never done that before, and it might be something fun to do. So today we're making Peter Griffin. I'll do the same spiel where I just tell you what the materials are. I know that I probably won't give a good, explanation in the voiceover like I normally don't.
I'd be right.
But you know what? I'll try my best this time to actually give a tutorial on
Maybe I
how to make
will,
something
maybe
for
I
once.
won't.
First thing that you will need, of course, is aluminum wire. I recommend the 2 millimeter diameter because I'm pretty sure that's what this one is. I think, yeah, something like that. But it is essential for creating the skeleton of the clay figure, which I've already started work on. It'll be in the time lapse where I put the final part on. But yeah, get that. You absolutely need it. Also, I was wrong. It's actually 3.2 millimeter by Craftsmart, around 20 feet of it. It's like $5, $6. It's pretty good for what it is. Anyway, next thing you need is a series of cutting tools like X-Acto knives and razor blades because that helps you cut through the clay and everything like that. You know, just the essential things. So, cutting tools and shaping tools like ball tools with little points at the end that you can roll across to smooth the surface. I just recommend an assortment of tools that you can use for smoothing and everything, but honestly, all you really need is, I would just say, probably the X-Acto knives, razor blades, and ball tools, because those are just the main essential ones that you're going to need. And now on to the clay, to which, first of all, you will need a lot of white. As you know, Peter here has several large areas on his body that require white, such as the shirt, and that's the only area that actually requires white. Aside from the eyes, of course, which also require white, funny enough. Can you believe that? Anyway, after that, you'll need green clay, which, if you don't have the right shade, you can always get a brighter green and then mix black together with it, which you will also need. But take some of that, mix it with your green. Only use a little bit, though, because it does really well with making it darker, so just a tiny little bit of black and a lot of green tends to go a long way. But take some green, that's going to be your second most prominent color because it's just the entire bottom of his, torso. After that, you will need brown, to which I don't have the proper shade of brown or enough of brown, so I'm going to be mixing that with a little bit more black and some other shades of color that I have until I get the right shade. And I think that by then I'll have this little blob to be enough to make the two shoes. Get a tiny bit of yellow because you need that for his belt buckle, and you don't need much of that at all. It's a very small amount. If you don't have yellow, I recommend mixing red and green because that will end up coming up with a shade of yellow. You just gauge it based off of how bright or dark you want it with black and white. I forgot to mention, of course, you need brown for his hair as well. And finally, of course, you'll need some tan clay for his skin, though if you also don't have the right shade, there's a little bit of orange tint to his skin, so I'm just going to mix a tiny little bit of orange with the tan that I have, so that it ends up mixing just nice and well. Anyway, yeah, you got your materials here, you got your tools. Oh yeah, wire cutters and pliers, you need that. But yeah, you got your clay here, you got your tools, you got your reference photos, which take some of those. If you can't print them, just look online, get those. And I recommend compiling them into one big sheet and just, having them all together in a nice one big clump. Let us begin.
Alright, we're doing this again, aren't we? So, first step is to make the armature for the clay figure by looking at your reference photo, which for me is him doing the hands and hips and just modeling it off of that. But I take a bunch of random colored clay that I've had lying around and I mix it together and I covered it to make the normal shape for his body, and then I covered that with green clay so that it has the look that it's solid, but it isn't. It's just green clay on the top. But anyway, make his shoes to be based off of the photo, and I took black clay and I made a little line of it, put it around it, and made a belt, put tiny little strips of green clay over that to make little belt loops, and then I actually also added the belt buckle on the front with that little yellow clay. Did the same thing with the torso, though, where I took random colored clay, put it in the middle, wrapped that around, and then put white clay around the side of that until I ended up getting the finished look. And I also did the same thing for the head. Take random colored clay, put it on top, and then you take tan clay, wrap that around to you, make sure you have the shade that's proper. But yeah, do the same thing, and I believe I'm working on the face right now. But what you do is you end up just copy your best off the reference photos. Like if there's the eyes, I recommend taking a circle of little sphere of white rather, crushing it up in your fingers, and then pressing it onto the face to put the eyelashes on. Just the eyes on. Apologies there. But for the nose, take a little nub of tan clay, put it onto the face, smooth it over with the ball tool to connect it. Same thing for the chin. It's 2 balls of clay that you push together. I did the same for the ears, where I took half circles and put them onto the face. But take that, and for the hair, it was actually a pain to get the hair to look good because I had to mix a bunch of colors together, but eventually I ended up coming up with dark brown and red mixed together makes the right shade. But I did the thing for the face where I pretty much just copied the best I could off of the reference photos. So just try to do your best interpretation of it. That's my best advice there. It's just carving in the correct little shapes that everything is and making little facets on it. And for the arms,
Anyway, so that's that. You have Peter Griffin.
now I know what you're gonna say. The voiceover cut off. What do you do? Well, you see what happened there was I ended up flat out not realizing that the video was ending there. Regardless, though, for the arms, you just take a little white cylinder of clay, cut it up, and then you stick it over the wire and smooth it over so that it connects. Same for the hands and the arms, and for the little fingers, you just roll out a thinner little cylinder of tan clay, cut that into fingers, smooth it across, and then bend them so it looks like a fist. It's just basically basing it off the photo.
I hope you learned something. Maybe you made this. I doubt you did, but maybe you did. Yeah, that's all. Have a good rest of your night or something. I don't know. Goodbye.